QW for the sub, Lewis for the sub, Milky for the sub, Clueless and Safe for the sub, Cameron, thank you for the 3. No. All right. Yo, lock in. Maya, thank you for the 3. You were debating whether Red Dead first or Life is Strange. I would do Life is Strange because it's way shorter. I wasn't debating between the two. I was just saying that I would play both of them at some point. But Red Dead 2, I'm probably not going to play for like a year. Like, that would be way later. Hold up. Yo, exclamation point schedule if you need to see the schedule. Oh my god, he's right there. Mello, thank you for the 3. Watching you react out of the cruise ship and what the fuck? What do you mean? Elusive for the sub, Miracle, thank you for the 6. It was worth a shot asking for 20, but I gotta say you're looking good today. Thank you. All right, yo, lock in. Anime for the sub. Yo, lock in. What's really happening with price tags? Let's get it going.
This apple and this apple are the exact same, except for one.
Well, here's the first problem. You're buying a Granny Smith apple, which is fucking disgusting, okay? We're not even going to get into the price tag bit yet. The fact that you are purchasing willingly a green apple from a grocery store is gross. The only thing worse would be like you being somebody that's buying a Macintosh or like a mushy red apple.
One thing. I only paid $1.29 for this apple, but for this one, you paid nearly 3 times that. Not because yours is any better, it's not organic, and I didn't get mine on sale. These are exactly the same, but the algorithm decided that you would pay more than me. Let me explain.
Listen, folks.
Yeah, well, it's really any store that has digital price tags, don't shop at. I think with the I guess, advancement of technology, one of the only things that should never change is physical price tags. Because that ensures that they can really only change them like once per day. Like unless it's like one singular product that they're up pricing. Like when you see paper, that's how you know that like that's been there at least today.
Pay more than me. Let me explain.
Listen.
I mean, even with paper, they're scammers, though. I mean, dude, you see Black Friday sales where there'll be like Black Friday Ideal, 20% off. You literally pull it up, and it's the regular price tag, the same price, and it's just the regular 20% off that they have. Like, stores are just conning you. The craziest shit, I don't know if he's going to get into this. I know this is what everybody always complains. Just play the fucking video. Just play the fucking video. Shut the fuck up. The craziest shit that I've seen recently is that online stores in other places will take advantage of your known data on like income and how much you need the product right now, like surge pricing, like Uber will do it for like Uber Eats, or like if you're Ubering somewhere, like if you're desperate or have a lot of money, they'll charge you more, which is like, you know, obviously like eat the rich mentality, I guess, in some sense, but it's also just going to a richer person's pocket. Like it's a CEO that's basically enabling their company to con people to the max amount that they're willing to spend.
Folks, your milk might
like you never feel like the problem in today's market society is you never feel like you're getting a deal anymore. You're always spending the exact amount that you're willing to spend.
start having a rush hour price to it.
These price tags started updating right in front of me.
Just stick it to your customers just a little bit more.
What a wild concept.
Carnegie, Rockefeller.
Do you guys have places with digital price tags though? I'll see them, but not to the point where like Walmart has everyone a digital price tag. I think that's got to be like big city shit.
Just stick it to your customers just a little bit more.
What a wild concept.
Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt. What do they all have in common? They owned monopolies. Carnegie was the king of steel, Rockefeller was the king of oil, and Vanderbilt was the king of railroads.
These guys focused all of their time and money on one thing,
and that was dominating their industries. As their businesses grew, they were able to effectively crush any competition and choose whatever price they wanted to charge. And they were pretty much untouchable.
But in 1890, a senator from Ohio formed a bill that would allow the government to step in. This bill, also known as the Sherman Act, only had 2 sections. Section 1 made price fixing illegal, and Section 2 made it a crime to monopolize or attempt to monopolize an industry. As you can imagine, when the government passes a law that goes against the richest people in the country, they usually find creative ways around it. So in 1914, the government had to pass.
It's illegal to monopolize, but what counts as a monopoly, right? Like the fact that you have 0 competitors, because you could argue that a lot of the big companies right now, like the top 5 in the S&P 500, are effectively monopolies of their own trade. Like, is Amazon not a monopoly in some way? Like, it obviously, the Amazon Prime Video portion of Amazon is not a monopoly. But, like, the Amazon service of, like, okay, yeah, there's Temu and eBay and Etsy and other places where you buy shit online. But, like, I would argue that the majority of Americans and anywhere really where Amazon's available is using Amazon as the first and foremost place where they're buying almost any product.
Passed the Clayton Act, which was specific.
It's still not a monopoly, because a monopoly would be they have no competitors, so they effectively could just do whatever they want. Like, they have no limitations.
Specifically made to ban practices like price discrimination and exclusive dealing agreements. It also
No, because Amazon doesn't own every delivery service. No, but they own every part of their chain. Like, Amazon's the closest company that I would say is nearing a monopoly in a way, because they own every part of their chain they own. It's not like they're outsourcing, like Red Bull, for example, outsources production of their cans elsewhere. They just sell the cans. But Amazon has their own warehouse facilities, their own website, their own products, Amazon Essentials, that they're creating, and their own delivery service.
also created the Federal Trade Commission to enforce all those
Disney's close.
rules. But even
I would argue that Disney's less powerful than they used to be. In terms, maybe not in money, but in terms of, like, social holding on people. Like, not many people are invested in Disney products as they used to. It's like they've kind of diverted to the whale idea, you know? Like, Disney profits so heavily, I guess park-wise at least, on, like, millennials that are single that are obsessed with Disney, right? Like, the average Disney goer is not obsessed with Disney, you know? Like, the average person that's involved with the company of Disney is not really obsessed. Apple and Tesla. Apple, no, because Samsung
with the FTC
and Google Pixel. There are people that don't buy Apple products. I think Apple has a monopoly socially in the sense that, like, if you don't own an iPhone, even today, like, you're the guy with the green text. You're the weird guy. Like, what? No, seriously. Like, if you don't own an iPhone and it's like, oh my God, why am I sending green texts in this group chat? It's because one of your friends has a fucking Google Pixel, you know, like that. And then it's like you're shamed socially. I mean, Apple even goes as far as enabling any movie company and production company to use their phones as long as those phones are not used by the villain. So it's kind of a cheap way to know who did it in a killer sense. If you're watching like a Clue movie, you know, like say you're watching a Knives Out film and a guy is using, that's false, by the way. I'm pretty sure that's not false. I'm pretty sure now I gotta Google that. Can villains use iPhones in movies? No, bad guys in movies don't use iPhones due to Apple's unofficial no villain clause, which requires their products to be shown favorably, meaning villains typically will not use Android or generic devices, or will use Android or generic devices instead. It's associated with negative characters, making androids a common choice for antagonists in villainy. So some movies, you can determine who the killer is just off of them having an Android. Like, if you see a guy with an iPhone, they're probably good.
See in the Sherman Act today, things aren't really working like they should.
A fancy way of saying your grocery.
And it's like subconscious shit like that, bro. Like, that's crazy. I mean, it's not monopoly shit, but it's like, dude, marketing's gotten to a point. This doesn't even have to do with what we're watching.
Are going to start acting like airline tickets.
So let's play a game to really understand what we're dealing with. Here we have two grocery stores, Dave's and Willie's. To keep things simple, let's pretend they each
I'm going to Dave's.
sell the same thing. Both stores sell their apples for $3 a piece. Customers don't really have a preference, so they just shop wherever their heart desires. But Dave decides that he wants to make a little bit more money, so he lowers his price to $2.50. For the next
Good choice going to Dave's.
week, the majority of customers start shopping at Dave's for their apples because they're cheaper. But as soon as Willie catches on to this, he lowers his price to $1.99. Again, all the shoppers follow the lower price.
That's just the idea of like capitalism, free market, right? The problem with that is nobody ever lowers prices or does anything reasonably without the potential to then just raise it in the long term. Like, it's like short-term gains for like, or short-term losses for long-term gains. It's just gross economics. I mean, it's literally just the idea of competitive pricing because you need to, not because you feel like you want to give your customers a good deal.
Price and move back to Willie's. As you can imagine, this could just continue indefinitely, and that's why it's called a race to the bottom. This is the ideal scenario for us because companies are forced to compete for the lowest price to attract the most customers. However, after all this back and forth, both Willie and Dave are now making way less than they did when both of their prices were $3. If they could get together and create a plan, they could both raise their price to $5 and make way more because customers have nowhere else to go for their apples. But that would be considered collusion, and that's illegal according to the Sherman Act. But
Well, and isn't it also within reason on how low you're able to drop that price tag, right? Because couldn't Microsoft, the fucking, monolith of a company that it is, sell their Xboxes for $50 and just take billions of dollars in losses and effectively drive PlayStation out of business? No? Why not, Zod? Zod, actually, don't rage bait today. That's not how it works. All right. Zod, you're not going to be mod today. Please. How is that rage bait? You're saying, no, that's not how it works, but you're typing, no, that's not how it works. And then you don't explain anything. Okay, I'm being serious. All right, Zod, you're being serious. That's fine. You're always in my stream. What type of chatter is a chatter that says no and then doesn't explain anything? Like, you're just disagreeing to disagree rather than being like, no, that doesn't make sense because of this. Like, that would just be, well, price gouging is illegal. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, isn't price gouging the reverse, where you have the whole supply, so you're able to just ramp the prices drastically? People were doing that during COVID with, like, hand sanitizer and toilet paper and shit.
is it illegal if it's not humans doing?
Zod, are you going to explain it? Or, I mean, like, bro. It takes a paragraph to explain, just ask ChatGPT. All right. Yeah, instead of Zod being able to explain it, let me just ask ChatGPT. Wait, so what am I asking? What am I giving the prompt? What am I prompting? Why is it allowed that Microsoft could sell Xboxes for $50 so they run PlayStation out of business? Like, what am I prompting? It usually isn't allowed. What you're describing is called predatory pricing, and antitrust laws make that illegal. What Microsoft companies are allowed to do is sell products at a loss temporarily and price aggressively. They're not allowed to sell far below the cost with the intent to eliminate competition. You're wrong! You can't do that. If you're a company that has so much backroll money and investments that you could price low enough to where you actually run the competitor out of business, that's illegal.
Doing the collusion, and instead it's the algorithm. And what if the algorithm didn't just know what everyone else was?
Competitive pricing is what Xbox did initially. PlayStation, I'm not 100% sure, didn't want to sell the PlayStation for $500. But when Xbox, it got leaked that they were going to sell it for that, PlayStation had to match competitively. It's not a coincidence that they're selling for the same price. I'm not doing any channel point redemptions today. Please refund them. Was I not? Zod, did you unmod yourself, bro? I'll be back later. Did you not ask why can't Microsoft just drop their Xbox prices to 50? I put myself in timeout, brother. Zod. You didn't need to put yourself in timeout. I'm saying that's why I'm saying Xbox can't do that.
Charging,
or Microsoft couldn't do that.
But it also knew everything about you. We're going to get to that, but I have something else to show you first. Exchange traded funds were built in the 90s, and when you invest in one, you get what you get. You can't customize it, and there's only about 4,000 total options in the United States.
This is an ad.
Ideas, visit public.com/grant. Let's take a look at this chart. It's a simple concept most of us learned in school. Here you have a line showing the supply and
sitting here like, yo, bro's talking about ETFs, yo. Like, what am I going to start? Exchange traded funds. What am I on, Robinhood?
Line showing the supply, and here is the demand. The point where these lines cross is the optimal price an object should be. As the demand goes up, the price goes up. As the demand goes down, the price goes down.
Oh my God, wait, a monopoly is just the diamond market. That's the best fucking explanation, is the diamond market. I mean, you could even see that with iShow Speed Stream when Speed tried to buy a diamond and they were like, oh no, we're only allowed to sell to 2 people. Like the diamond market, diamonds aren't as rare as they seem. Like, they artificially withhold the supply to increase the capability of them to sell them at a higher demand, right? Because they limit the supply, that increases demand. But if they released all the diamonds they had, then diamond pricing would drop pretty drastically.
To be the main way of price.
98% are in a vault. Is that accurate? I don't think it's 98%. How many, or what percent of diamonds are in a vault? It's telling me in video games. Like Minecraft. What? Why is it telling me bro, in real life. Jesus Christ. Why do I have to put that? Are we serious? It's not giving me an answer. I always say, though, just buy a lab-grown diamond, dude. Don't buy a fucking natural mine diamond.
Pricing goods, but ever since we started carrying these around, things have changed. Airplane tickets were some of the first things most of us noticed, depending on what time of year you were buying them or when the...
Why? Because just look up like blood diamonds and how the diamond trade is largely immoral and monopolized to benefit the companies rather than the consumer or the workers that are mining for them.
Trip was planned for, it might be more expensive, or what time of year you were buying them, or when the trip was planned for, it might be more expensive or less expensive. This is what's called dynamic pricing. It's the reason Ubers cost more during rush hour and why flights cost more during spring break. Dynamic prices.
I think dynamic pricing, though, isn't bad in certain instances. Like, an Uber should cost way more at 3 in the fucking morning when there's less Uber drivers than at noon. You know? Like, if you're trying to DoorDash a fucking burrito at 3 a.m., that should cost you more money because there's less people available. It's different, though, when it's grocery stores that are dynamically pricing a product that isn't rare or a commodity that makes sense to do dynamic pricing for. Like, even flights, it kind of makes sense. Where if it's like the day before a flight and it's not full, obviously they're going to drop the prices because they want to fill the flight.
Are set by
What doesn't make sense is when airlines overbook people and then you have that motherfucker on the comms go, yeah, this is Delta Airlines number 608. We are looking for 2 passengers to potentially take a later flight for $500. No, I'm not getting off the fucking flight. I'm not getting off the fucking flight. Give me $5,000. Give me $5,000. I'll get off the flight. Give me $5,000 in cash right now. I'll get off the fucking flight. Okay? I'm not doing this bullshit. We'll give you 10,000 flight credit miles and a coupon to your local Red Robin. You could wipe your ass with that fucking Red Robin coupon because I'm not getting off this fucking airplane. Okay?
On customer-specific variables. These are things that are determined without any customer data, but as we've started to open our lives up more and more to data collection, we've pretty much opened Pandora's box and allowed companies to take complete control of our spending. If we return back to the Sherman Act, you'll remember that price...
Chat's being hacked? No, some Russian just disabled and enabled McChunky, and some Russian disabled and enabled subscriber mode fucking 15 times.
Collusion is considered illegal. For something to be considered collusion, there needs to be an agreement to fix prices between multiple parties.
We got caught. Chunky, I can see your mod actions, this motherfucker. I see your mod actions. You know that, right? Like if you ban somebody, I see who you banned.
But that agreement doesn't need to be said, written, or even directly agreed on. It could be something as simple as a wink. For example, if Dave and Willie, our grocery store owners, are out golfing one day and Dave says, man, the price on these apples is way too low. Then they both go and raise the prices the next day. That's considered illegal collusion. In other words, you don't need a direct agreement at all. You just need to prove that they are no longer acting independently. That leads us to the problem we're having today. And in order to explain this, I think we need to order some groceries.
Now, Instacart has been getting...
Bro just Instacarted 2 apples and a fucking box of cereal. Are we dead ass? Are we dead ass? I feel like it's a waste when you're not ordering. Like, yo, I always think if I'm going to order something, I'm going to order like $100 worth of shit. Like, don't, like, dude, you remember that one time when Handsome DoorDashed a fucking Red Bull? Like a singular Red Bull. I'm like, you just paid a guy to walk into a 7-Eleven, grab a Red Bull, and drive it to your fucking house. Like, that is insanity.
Some heat lately. In a recent investigation, Consumer Reports found that grocery store prices were completely different for each customer, sometimes as much as 23%. And most of us know Instacart because of their app and being able to simply order our groceries instead of walking around the aisles of a grocery store, but they are also the leading software that grocery stores rely on. I mean, just think about it. Instacart had over 250 million orders in the first 3 quarters of 2025 alone. That's hundreds of millions of data points that they can compile and sell to the grocery.
Yo, I never use Instacart because I don't want another motherfucker picking which blueberries I'm using, okay? When I go to the produce section, I'm looking at the case. I'm seeing, oh, no, that one's got a rotten one. Don't want it. That one's good, you know? If I get Instacart, now it's some minimum wage. It's one of you guys. It's one of you guys, you know. You're high on the job, you know. You don't give a fuck if I get good grapes. Because you're just fulfilling the order. Why would you put that extra effort to be like, oh, this raspberry's a little fuzzy on this one? Fuck no. Why are we catching strays? Because the people that fulfill Instacart orders are usually like starting out at a Walmart. It's not somebody that's us, because the older people are the ones at the front checking the fucking receipts and just racially profiling people. The people that are doing Instacart are like the young guys that are rushing around to get shit done. The old people that have been there are the ones that are only stopping black people at the front. That's what they're doing. I mean, that's literally what they're doing. You can watch them do it. That's what they do.
Grocery stores to improve their efficiency because it's a digital
That's cap, brother. You must be going to a different Walmart.
storefront. There aren't any price tags and they can update things in real time. They even acquired Eversight in 2022, which is an AI company designed to optimize pricing.
I've seen it. No, they read. No, I've seen it, bro. They read every receipt. But when I hand them a receipt, he goes, if I stand behind somebody that's a minority, that motherfucker's looking through each individual fucking thing. I'm like, yeah, no, that's crazy.
Promotions and discounts. But that optimization isn't for the customers, it's for the stores.
According to Instacart, the tools they've built with Eversight can increase grocery store sales by 1 to
I'm a minority. Thank you for sharing, Zod. I've never seen that in my life. I go to Costco. I've never stepped foot in a Costco in my life, so I couldn't tell you what Costco's got going on.
3% and profit from additional sales by 2 to 5%. All of this being driven by an algorithm that is not only testing and updating prices and discounts.
Well, you're rich. I still shop at Walmart. Walmart's got competitive pricing. All right, lock in.
And profit from additional sales by 2 to 5%. All of this being driven by an algorithm that is not only testing and updating prices and discounts in real time, but it's also using our information against us. Which brings us back to our previous point on dynamic pricing. If you remember, dynamic pricing is based on non-customer specific variables. But to do what Instacart was doing, you need customer data like where they live and what they do for work, otherwise known as surveillance pricing. It is important to note that as of December 22nd, 2025, Instacart did announce that they are immediately ending all price tests and use of Eversight technology to run those price tests, but they are still allowing tests on promotions and discounts. Now, surveillance pricing really caught on thanks to social media. As we've shared more of our lives online and taught the algorithms what type of things we like to look at and buy, we're giving them the keys to our brains and how we shop. Not just that, but the brands have also found new ways to collect even more.
Well, the AI's gotta be fucking glitching out on TikTok, brother, because the ads that I get on that fucking app are absolute horseshit. None of the stuff that I see, I have any interest in. The only thing that I will say is I get a lot of fidget spinner lighter ads, and I almost bought one of them.
Data, and they've gotten really good at hiding it from us. All those loyalty programs you belong to, they're not really designed to reward your loyalty with free drinks and fries. Instead, they're just the bait to extract even more information from you. When you download their apps, you're giving up access to things like your location, the purchases you make on your phone, and some apps even include mini games that you'll play for extra points. But those mini games
What app are you playing? It has a mini game for extra points.
Are actually designed to study your psychological habits to learn even more about your shopping style. So when you're presented with an ad or you're looking to order your next meal, the app knows exactly what to put in front of you to maximize their profit. And that decision is made by an algorithm. These algorithms are constantly taking
McDonald's. Yo, whenever I pull up, you ever pull up to I haven't been to a McDonald's in so long, but you pull up to a McDonald's, are you using the app? No. No.
and new information and forming opinions on you and what you're willing to spend.
And this gets really creepy when you start to think about it, because these brands have built these huge profiles on us. If I lived in Beverly Hills, I used an iPhone, I shop at Whole Foods, I make reservations at nice restaurants, and I typically take 2 to 3 vacations a year, my shopper profile would feed me higher priced goods every time. And I would buy them without...
Yeah, because you're not reading the price. I mean, dude, that's the one thing that it's like... One of the most immediate luxuries of having a level of wealth is you don't you're not individually itemizing a receipt. You know, you're just looking at it and going, okay, this costs this amount of money, and then writing it off, right? Or not writing it off like tax purposes. I'm saying like pushing it off, moving it to the side. Like you don't give a fuck, right? Like if you're somebody that is living paycheck to paycheck or like middle class, how much the apples cost per pound matter, right? That's why to always to always see how in touch somebody is, they always go, how much is a gallon of milk? I don't know, not because I'm not in touch, but because I don't drink dairy because Big Milk is a fucking con. I guess the price of my total every time I go to the grocery store, and I'm right within $5 every single fucking time. Every single fucking time I'm within $5 of that bitch. Went 2 days ago, and I'm telling you, I said, I'm looking at everything, I go, it's probably gonna be $150. Actually, 160. It was 163. Get me on the Price is Right.
Not a second thought. On the other hand, if I only shopped at discount stores, I'm already saving coupons.
How much are eggs? Don't know. I can tell you how much chicken costs, though. Chicken tenderloins. If you get the Purdue chicken versus the Walmart chicken, it's different pricing. But I usually get the Purdue chicken packets that are about like $6.30 a thing. And it comes with about 8 tenderloins. And I get 2 of them. Blueberries depends. If you're getting the jumbo blueberries, those are probably going to be around $5-6 case, maybe $6 a case, maybe a little bit more. If you get a little shitter ones, don't get little blueberries. Little blueberries bad or really seedy. Those ones are cheaper. What about cigarettes? I don't know the price of cigarettes.
I never go out on vacation, and I
also don't know the street price of weed anymore because I just eat edibles.
Rarely purchase something if it's not on sale. The algorithm will only ever feed me discounted items or lower priced goods, even if the discount was just created as an illusion to get me to buy more.
Sketty said 16 a gram. Yo, you're getting conned. I feel like have the tariffs hit? Have the tariffs hit the weed pricing 16 a gram?
Or, in other words,
that's a steal. Mine's 30 a gram. At a dispensary, I'm saying like some guy on the street or like your friend that grows weed. If he's selling you 30 a gram, that's terrible. 16 is still reasonable. But like an eighth, I feel like I would buy an eighth of weed for like $40.
With surveillance pricing, the price we see is specifically tailored to the way...
If it's dispensary, it's more. But that's because they're getting, like, handcrafted bud.
we buy...
And it's one nug that's this big.
And the price we expect to pay for things.
But don't just take my word for it, because this is actually happening around us right now. In 2019, an investigation showed that Target was charging $4.99 for a TV on their app. But when you pulled into a parking lot of one of their stores, the price would increase to $5.99 because the algorithm...
They were up at that bitch $100.
...assumed you're more likely to purchase if you're already at the store. Also, in 2012, Orbitz was caught pushing Mac users to more expensive hotel options than PC users. When you would log onto the site with a Mac, the more expensive options would pop up first. The algorithm assumed that if you had a Mac, you were probably in a higher income bracket and could afford it. One study even showed that shoppers selecting fast delivery on baby formula were labeled as rushed parents and were assumed to not be price sensitive. So the algorithm would just bump up the price on baby items. But the problems don't stop with these brands just setting the prices, because
the one other thing I gotta say that does this that I don't care and I think it's cool is stock market bars. There's bars where the more people that are buying a drink, the more it costs. So there's like price crashes and hikes, and they'll have a list of like pricing that constantly changes. Those bars are cool as shit. Where if everybody's buying Coors Light, now it's fucking, instead of like $6 or like $8 a can, if it's just like a cheaper bar, now it's 12, 15. But if it's like nobody's buying, Mango Cart, now Mango Carts are real cheap. Just buy the cheapest shit. Yeah, but then you buy the cheapest shit, then it gets expensive. Then you gotta switch drinks.
These algorithms aren't actually owned by each individual brand you have an account with. They're typically third-party providers, which means your data is being collected by one brand, sent to another company, and then compiled and shared with who knows how many companies. And now they all have access to what makes you most likely to purchase and how much you're willing to pay. But because all these brands use the same third-party providers, the algorithm also knows what every other brand is charging for the exact same thing. And in order to explain why that's a problem, we need to look at a company called RealPage. They're a software company that landlords could use for a variety of things, but specifically, it helped them determine the optimal price to rent their units out at. Similar to Dave and Willie in their grocery stores, landlords used to set their prices with a ballpark idea of what the market was willing to pay. They did this based on things they saw, heard, or observed around them. They weren't allowed to do this through agreements with one another because that would be collusion. But by using RealPage, landlords were getting pricing suggested to them. That pricing was calculated using all of the confidential data that RealPage had access to, which included all of the prices of the rental units in their area and the supply of units available. Using this information,
I was going to say, I assumed that's how they did it. It's just like, how much are the other apartments around the same square footage in the same building going for?
the algorithm learned that instead of constantly decreasing prices to compete with other landlords, it could just set a higher rate for everyone and give the renters no other options. In some cases, the rental rates run by RealPage software increased by over 25% in just 11 months. It's just like the conversation Dave and Willie had earlier about raising the price of apples to $5. If everyone raises their price, there's nowhere else to go and the customers have to pay it. But this brings us to the question.
Well, isn't that part of the problem with like Section 8 housing as well? Section 8 housing is when you could get part of your rent paid for by the government, for the people that don't know. Part of the problem with Section 8 housing is places will partake in Section 8, but then up their pricing, knowing that a percentage of it is going to be covered by Section 8. So they're actually just making you pay more because they know the government's going to be paying for a percentage of what it is. I'm not a genius on real estate, though, so it's just like greed, though, of like real estate owners.
If it's an algorithm determining the prices and the landlords or companies aren't actually discussing anything.
Imagine a world where people aren't slaves to money. The problem is money's kind of needed. You could have different economies that run and have rules for how money is shared and how much things cost. But you kind of need money in a society for it to function. If you don't have money, then you need something that is an attributed asset or something that is valuable and can be given a price-to-price ratio. It used to be the gold standard, right? So like everything used to be based around gold. Now it's based around the US dollar or whatever currency that your country has. But you need some sort of centralized thing that is different from just trade items. You need something that just has value. Otherwise, you can't trade for certain items. Because, like, the older days, it was like, hey, I have a bunch of wheat. Well, I don't need fucking wheat. So you then trade wheat for gold, and then you use gold to buy something else.
Is it collusion? This has been a hot topic as AI and algorithms have completely outpaced our current laws, but the DOJ in several states did sue RealPage over anti-competitive practices, and there's currently a proposed settlement between the DOJ and RealPage that would force them to stop offering software that recommends how much to charge tenants, which is a win, but there also has been similar cases related to hotels and casino pricing that have been dismissed in court due to lack of evidence. Which leaves us in this weird twilight zone, and is part of the reason this video was so hard to make. As AI continues to advance and we continue to integrate the digital world with the physical world, how far is this all going to go? This is an electronic shelf label. You've probably noticed them at stores like Best Buy or Target, and in theory, it makes it easier for stores to reprice items or change shelf layouts. But they can also be changed remotely at any time, which means it won't just be Instacart changing the pricing in the app while you're shopping, but they could update it in real time depending on who's looking at it. Kroger recently partnered with Cooler Screens, who makes those digital freezer doors we're starting to see that often have an ad on them. But the scary part is that they also have a
That's even worse, bro. The fucking freezer doors that just have ads and other shit on them that tell you like what's in there, but it's also popping up other shit that it thinks you might want because it sees that you're standing in front of it, so it profiles you and then markets to you what they think you would most want.
Facial detection feature in them, allowing them to change the ad on the screen depending on the age and gender of the person standing in front of it. Kroger does deny that they're using the facial recognition technology, but we can all imagine what's possible if they decide to turn it on.
Pretend you were to walk into a store tomorrow. As soon as you walk through the door, your phone pings so the algorithm knows you're in the building and immediately has all of your shopping preferences saved. As you're walking through the produce aisle, the algorithm knows you've been watching TikToks about banana bread, so the price tag on the bananas instantly increases from $1.59 to $1.99. As you continue walking through the store, you reach the freezer aisle.
Bananas still aren't even that expensive, bro. Bananas are about the cheapest fucking thing you could buy at a grocery store, dude. Bananas are like 50 cents a pound. They're worth nothing. Bananas are fucking dog shit. Like, it's because there's so many of them, and they're so easy to preserve that they could just fucking sell them for almost nothing.
Where the camera on the door.
Not where I live. Well, I'm just saying for the majority of people, bananas are one of the easiest fruits for them to ship and sell from around the world. They pick them when they're bright or when they're dark green. They spray them with something, and then they wash them. They start ripening, and then that's why they're usually at a grocery store and they're a little greenish yellow.
Or recognizes that you're with your 15-year-old nephew, and because the algorithm also knows you've been watching Netflix on your phones, an ad pops up for the new Stranger Things Eggo Waffles collab. Not only that, but the camera also sees your 8-year-old niece who always asks your Amazon Alexa to play the songs from Frozen. So it shows a buy one, get one half off of the waffles and a Frozen-inspired ice cream flavor.
Oh my God, the Stranger Things Eggo Waffles?
And a Frozen-inspired.
Like, why is that a product? Fucking throw that in the garbage. Frozen 2 Magical Mint Snowflake. That makes more sense
Ice cream flavor
than a Stranger Things waffle.
Neither of which were things we were planning on getting when I walked in the door, but now they're in my cart and I'm spending more than I originally intended. This is just a small example of what's possible with this technology, and it's only getting smarter and better at predicting the maximum amount we are all willing to pay.
If we continue down this path, there won't be a market price anymore, and competition will basically just disappear. We would reach a state of what economists call perfect price discrimination, meaning every person will see a price that is 1 cent below the maximum amount we would pay for an item. Some people would pay $4.99 for an apple, while others would pay $1.99. And all of this is almost unavoidable. Some economists say that surveillance pricing creates a more efficient.
Unless I start acting like I like certain products and hate others. I start tweeting out that I despise Honeycrisp apples and I think that they taste like fucking shit, right? Then I go to the grocery store, I sneak a Honeycrisp apple into the cart. Now it costs less for me.
Market because the price reflects real-time supply and demand on a per-person basis, but it also eliminates the free market. If all the stores use
Honeycrisps are the best. Oh, I agree. They're the best apple. I'm saying I would lie and say that I hate the things that I like.
Same algorithm, you'll never be able to shop around for a lower price or find any real deals. It'll all just be a facade. There have been some proposed regulations that would require online and in-person stores to label things more clearly and say that they were price band algorithm, but all those pricing decisions we talked about are meant to be hidden from us. So how would we know if we're actually getting taken advantage of, and would we be able to enforce these new regulations? Thankfully, groups like Consumer Reports are conducting studies and investigations to dig into this, but to a certain extent, we have no idea what's actually happening. And I don't know what the perfect solution is. Do we put a stop to surveillance pricing completely? If so, how would that be enforced? Do we set limits on price increases? Or do we force every company to create their own internal pricing algorithm? I'm not really sure, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching.
I don't know. I think just starting with the digital pricing system, I think if they want to have that to reduce the need to physically change every price tag, that's fine. But there has to be some legal rule that they're only allowed to change prices once a day, you know, like at the start of the day. Like once that is set, they're not allowed to change it at noon during rush hour when they know more people are going to be in and they're in a hurry and they're just going to pay more for the product. Like stuff like that. Outside of that, like the collusion of companies working together to determine prices, just fucking remove the capability for them to share information with each other. Midnight for the sub. That night for the sub. Colby, thank you for the 1,000 biddies. I saw that. Prince, thank you for the 3. About to play UFC. Can you give me a fighter to use? O'Malley. Chunky, thank you for the 3. Sending this message, I got bits. Not letting me buy anything for the website cards and working on any other website. How the hell do I fix this? Even tried Cash App, that didn't work. On what? Twitch? I don't know, man. I'm sorry, Chunky. I'm not really a tech support guy. I don't really know how I would help you. Ozzy, Evan, Des, and Jake for the sub. Watts, thank you for the 3. Have you ever tried batch edibles? They're from hemp, but I'm only buying them because I get 30 off coupon. Also, is hemp thanks they're same as regular THC? Dan and Magu for the sub. THCA and hemp-based weed is usually a legal loophole to enable companies and places of business to sell weed in states where it's either illegal or companies that don't have weed dispensary-based licenses to still sell marijuana. Like the THC drinks that I drank are hemp-based THCA. They're not THC, or they are hemp-based THC. They're not Delta whatever THC that you would have at a regular dispensary. It's from the same plant. Yeah, it's where one of the hydrocarbons on the ring match up. It's a loophole. Watts, thank you for the 3. Dan and Magoo for the sub. God, thank you for the sub. Scal, thank you for the 3. 25 for an 8th. Misty for the sub. Scal, thank you for the 3. 200,000 channel points on McDonald's to get you free with chickens for 200 days straight. Jesus. Tronic, Zucchini, Saturn, Poppy for the sub. Game, thank you for the 3. One day I would love to mod or edit for you. For my dream for the future. Well, I mean, you know, good luck on your dreams, man, but I'm sorry. I don't know if there's going to be an opening for editing, man. I'm sorry. King and Seth for the sub. Curb and BT, thank you for the sub. Lil and Waz for the sub. Kaylee for the 3. Huge fan. Love the philosophy. Inspired me to continue